Hello, good people. Welcome back to the Cub Games YouTube channel. I'm joined once again by my friend Petty. Say hi, Petty.
Hello, Cub viewers.
I thought you were going to say hi, Petty, because you usually just say whatever I say, and then I
You're
had
right, I
a whole
panicked.
joke. I had a whole joke planned and everything. I was gonna sit here for a second and look confused and be like, "Huh, Petty's not saying hi back to you."
I have my own joke plan that you were inviting me specifically on the channel for the worst cards, and you did not message me at all about your best card list.
I messaged you about the best card lists. I got some
Yeah, but
input
not to
there.
be on the channel.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. So, a lot of duelists spend a lot of time and effort, and they all get together and they talk about everything and they try to figure out, what's the best strategy? What are the best cards to use? What's the best thing to do to win all of these duels? Well, instead of helping with that or doing anything remotely productive in that way, we have decided to go down a path that is long and arduous and probably masochistic. And we are going to bring you the top 50 worst cards in GOAT format. And we're going to be doing these 10 a week, starting with number 50. So this week you're going to be getting number 50 through 41. So let's talk about our 50th worst card in GOAT format. And clearly, as you can see on the screen, it's Graceful Charity.
Card sucks.
Yeah, it's not very good at all. But yeah, the card that's a little bit worse than Graceful Charity that we're starting with at number 50 is none other than Infinite Cards. So this is a card that it's an inherent -1. Like you do have the card on the field, so I guess like you can make an argument maybe it works with like Royal Magical Library or something, but essentially the effect is kind of worthless. Let's be real. No one ever really discards to hand size, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that the use for this card is to sack it to emergency provisions to gain 1,000 life points. That's what you really want to be doing here.
It's like
we
like
talked
this.
we mentioned that there was like theoretically a combo with like Muka Muka and like Enraged Muka Muka, but I mean this card doesn't help you get more cards though, right? It just lets you not discard to hand size, and you could just, if you're like attempting to get a really strong monster, you could just go above the hand size limit and to try to kill your opponent before you have to discard instead. And so like, what's the use of this card?
Yeah, and in a game with no resource management like you would have in Magic with lands and stuff, you can just play out your cards. So if you're holding more than 7, like first of all, you're probably in a winning position anyway, if you've got that many cards. But yeah, if you're holding more than 7 at the end of the turn, you've probably done something wrong, and this card is not really going to help you from that position.
It really kind of feels to me like the sort of card that like Konami printed and they're like, this is the basis for some other combo that we could introduce to the game, and then they just never introduced that combo. Like there's not like the card of safe return thing, right? Where like you just keep drawing cards. Like this card feels like it needs something else, that having a bunch of cards at the end of your turn just makes it really good, but you need this as like an enabler, but that, as far as I'm aware, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm like you said, the only thing that we really came up with was Enraged Muka Muka, and even then, like there's so many better things you could be doing other than that, right?
Yeah. But it's fun because this card, like, it's the best card on this next list that's going to take us for the course of the next few weeks, because it's only a neg one, and it has an effect that affects both you and your opponent, right? And so, like, it doesn't even give you a good effect, but this is the best card that we're going to be talking about, I think.
Yeah, you're playing against Chaos Turbo, and they go turn 1 Thunder Dragon, Pot of Greed, and then just don't play anything, and you get to keep all their cards. Yeah,
I love that for them.
yeah, I forgot all about the card just being symmetrical too. Yeah, no, I think this is fitting for 50. Yeah, it's not good, but my God, are there worse cards?
Yeah, it's funny though, because it really kind of feels like what's going to come up more often: your desire to have infinite cards or your desire to discard to hand size at the end of your turn. Like sometimes you do, and sometimes it's a good thing, right? And so this card prevents that.
Yeah.
So like, what do you want? That what is this here for? What's the function?
Yeah, I've seen a few discard, like in phase discard democks in my time.
Right. Yeah. So I do wonder though about on a subconscious level how much the quality of the art has affected our placement of this card. Like, is it actually worse, but we like it because it's pretty? It
It
might
is a
be.
really cool art, and it's iconic. Like a lot of people know this card. Shout out to anyone who knows all 50 cards on this list, by the way.
Literally nobody.
And we went through
Unless dot dot dot.
we went through every single card in GOAT format. I've been through them about 3 times now. So if you know all of these cards, shout out to you. You're awesome. All right, coming in at number 49, we have our first burn card on the list. Definitely not the last one that you're going to be seeing, but we have Thunder Crash here. So this is a spell card that makes you destroy all monsters you control. That is a necessary thing. And if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each monster. So baseline, this is going to be at least a -2, potentially a -6. And if you get rid of 5 monsters, you get to hit your opponent for a whole 1,500 damage, which you could very easily do with a Just Desserts or something like that. Yeah, I guess you could use this with Scapegoat, Jam Breeding Machine, whatever, maybe like Brain Control, Mind Control, stuff like that. But, you know, obviously there are much better ways, I think, to get value off of those cards, right?
I don't know. You can proc Last Will with this card. Imagine. Imagine how good it is. You just lose everything, and then you get 1 monster.
That's, yeah, maybe 2 monsters if you get a Rescue Cat from your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this
Wow,
card's
it's like
actually
you're going
busted.
plus. Yeah, let's take this off the list, Kuhb. It's actually really good. Yeah. It was funny because while Kuhb and I were talking about the list and kind of figuring out where the cards should be, Thunder Crash used to be much higher, or I suppose lower on the list. But I do think that there is some utility in terms of like you will only ever want to use this if you're about to win the game. And so you can win the game with it, theoretically, at the cost of every resource you have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not good.
Just the fact that it can do something good, or something, maybe good's probably not the word. Just the fact that this card can potentially have a positive effect on the game puts it at number 49 rather than, 13 or something like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of these cards on the list are just going to be like theoretically outclassed by another card. Like the reason why it's bad is because you should just play another card, and like there's like obvious like Just Desserts or another burn card, but like also like Mass Driver, right? You do more damage per monster with Mass Driver, and you can control how many that you go.
Yeah. You've got Mass Driver, Cannon Soldier, Toon Cannon Soldier that you could search for from your deck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, but this can't be interrupted. Your opponent can chain MST on your Mass Driver. So
that's true. That's true. Destroying all monsters is not a cost, or so we believe.
So we believe.
We looked it up and couldn't find like concrete, but stuff on that. But I'm fairly certain it is not a cost from what I've read. You just got to get rid of all of those things.
I think my theory about us putting cards with really cool art near the top of this list is holding true for this one. I don't know if those 2 monsters on the card are something I'm supposed to be recognizing though. Looks like a bug and a skeleton.
Yeah, there's definitely a bug and of course some sort of skeleton in there. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to look that up, but it's going to be a continuing theme on this list, honestly, of great art, unplayable card.
Sounds good to me. That's my brand.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time looking at this. That's why it goes on YouTube and it's not just a podcast on Spotify, right? You get to look at the stuff.
True.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, the viewers.
Yeah. All right, moving on to number 48. We've got a card that I have actually killed an opponent with on video on this YouTube channel.
Oh, one time it happened.
I sure did attack over a BLS with a Gradius equipped with Cyclone Laser.
Oh my god.
But yeah, number 48 is Cyclone Laser. So this is an equipped spell card. You can only equip this card to Gradius. Increase the attack of Gradius by 300 points. When the equipped Gradius attacks, it deals piercing damage. You want to know what's better than this? Big Bang Shot in every single way.
Oh man, you're totally right. I was thinking, because like we were putting this on the list, and I'm like, oh, it's not so bad. It's Gradius, and Gradius is a machine that you can double. But yeah, you're right. It's just worse than Big Bang Shot.
Yep. Oh. And if you double that Gradius, it's still smaller than most things with a limiter removal.
Yeah, it's just I think that one of the genres of cards that we're going to see on this series is things that are way, way, way too specific. Like
Yep.
they have like a generic effect that's fine. Like gaining attack points, that's good. A piercing damage, that's good. But it's just so specific that it's like, why would you ever play this card? Even if you maxed out on Big Bang Shot, like I kind of want Fairy Meteor Crush. Like just give it to me. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, Fairy Meteor Crush can, at least be equipped to your BLS or something like that. You don't have to be playing god awful Gradius in your deck. And believe me, I have tried many Gradius builds. I've tried to make it work, and there are some videos I've got that I've just deleted and never looked back at again because it is not good or worth playing at all.
Oh, hold up, Kuhb. Hold up. So Gradius's option copies the attack increase from Cyclone Laser, right?
Yes.
And so if you have two options on the field, then you finally got more attack points than Big Bang Shot? You only need two in addition to Gradius?
But here's the thing, though. You could just equip the Gradius with a Big Bang Shot, and now your options are even bigger.
You're right. Oh.
Yeah. There's no reason to play this in a Gradius build. Also, you can use Big Bang Shot as a removal spell. So
I'm so upset.
Yeah. No, this card is heinous.
I would sure rather have Thunder Crash or Infinite cards than this card.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this card's miserable. However,
yeah. Do you know any other cards that are worse than this one? Surely there's not any.
Oh, I know 47 cards worse than this one. And I know one monster, which is keep this in mind. This is the best monster on this list, hailing from, I believe, Magic Ruler, Bite Shoes. So Bite Shoes is a level 2, which is part of the reason why it's on here, because level 2 is, awful in Go format, the worst level. It is a dark, which is something it's got going for it, and it is a Fiend flip effect monster with 500 attack, 300 defense. Its flip effect reads, change the attack or defense position of one face-up monster on the field. The card must remain face-up. It works with Dream Clown, right?
Right.
And
I guess it is one monster, right? Not your opponent's monsters. It can be your own monster. That's not bad.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we missed the placement on this. No,
we didn't.
No. This card's awful.
Yeah, let me tell you why. So we all know that like the old cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, some of them have been forsaken by Konami, who have since released like problem-solving card text, right? This text is written so clunkily that they've never looked back. The card must remain face up. What are they thinking? Face down attack position? Is that what they're thinking?
If you could flip a monster face down, well, then it would just be a Desert Taper, I guess. But
yeah,
it'd be a whole lot better, of course. But like we have so many cards, like Ryukishin Clown is better than this. Otohime is better than this. Labyrinth of Nightmare Trap card is better than this. He has so many cards like that can do this effect that are just worlds better. So it's just outclassed by hundreds, probably.
Yeah. I think really like you see the dark attribute, right? And you're like, okay, it can't be that bad because it could be like a wind monster and that's even worse. But it's a level 2. It's outclassed by everything. Like if you want the dark monster in your deck, then like you're gonna play any other monster. Like you're never gonna play this, right? And so it doesn't actively hurt you. You haven't had a card yet that actually makes the dueling experience worse for you. That will come up later. And so I think it deserves its spot here. The best worst monster.
Yep, I think. Yeah, we'll give it a couple more cards, and we'll start getting to the cards that actually just hurt you. But yeah,
what do you think? What do you think it's like putting your foot in Bite Shoes though?
I guess it feels like the process of losing that foot. I guess.
I don't mess around with Bite Shoes. Just want to pass that card up.
All right, coming in at number 46, we have probably the most iconic card on the list so far. I guess Infinite Cards is pretty iconic, but people know and people love Card of Sanctity. But I think the reason that people love Card of Sanctity is because it's just infamously bad. But yeah, Card of Sanctity is a spell card. It says banish all other cards you control and in your hand. Minimum 1 from each. Draw until you have 2 cards in your hand. So you have to give up this card, plus a card in your hand, plus a card on the field, if that's all you have to draw 2 cards. So card is inherently a -1. It banishes everything. It doesn't banish itself, so you can't use it with something like a cool strategy with like Chaos Greed or something like that. And then you just get 2 random cards. So like the only time you're ever going to use this card is if you're like super down bad. You really need to see more cards to try to pull yourself out of a really bad situation and just hope it gets you there, I guess.
All right, yeah. Let me pitch you a scenario. Your opponent has BLS. You use Brain Control. You banish the opponent's monster off of BLS, and then you use Card of Sanctity to banish the opponent's BLS, and in your hand is ED Scout Plane, the orb. And so you get him back, and you banish your opponent's BLS, and you get to draw 2. Wow. If you could ever make that happen, that card is going to be very mid, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, I guess you get the DD Scout Plane back.
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Have a 500 attack orb. Yeah. No,
hey, but look how cool that is.
Oh yeah. As cool as this card is, man, it sucks. We always make the joke whenever we cube draft that Card of Sanctity is in the cube, so we know what card not to draw or what card not to draft.
Yeah, it's just one of those cards that you read the effect and you're like, the effect is to draw a card, right? And so you're like, this must be okay. There has to be a way to make this not as bad as it is, but you just really can't. You will, at best, if you have the perfect cards in your hand and field, you'll go card neutral. But it really kind of feels like they used it in the anime, right? And they used it in the anime when like Yugi really needed more cards. And so the idea is like you're going to use this when you like really, really need to draw. But if you're in that situation, you don't have the resources to discard the Card of Sanctity, right? If you do, then you shouldn't be in that situation to begin with. And so I just can't really think of a situation where you can make this card work. You just can't.
Yeah, I do remember now that you mentioned it. Back whenever this card was released, a lot of players were like, this has to be broken some way. We have to be able to make this work. Like, it's Pot of Greed. Obviously, there's a big downside, but just having the whole draw 2 on it, it's got to be good in some way. And nope, no one ever figured it out because it's bad.
Yet. Wonder in 100 years from now, when people are still playing GOAT format, how many cards on this list are going to be like meta? How many do you think? 10, 20, 50?
I think they'll probably find use for somewhere around at least half, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, in 100 years, sure.
All right, starting number 45, we are getting into the good ones, where I believe now the cards actually start to hurt you in some way. At least this one does. We've got another infamously bad card. A lot of people know this one, and a lot of people might think that this is closer to 1 on the list because it's so bad, but I promise you, 45 is about where it shakes out. This card is heinous. So Dark Designator is a spell card that reads, declare 1 monster card name. If the declared card is in your opponent's deck, add 1 of that card to your opponent's hand. Now, that is on its own probably the worst. It might be the worst effect. Go for that. It is very, very bad. Obviously, you don't want to activate a card and go -1 from its activation to give your opponent a card from their deck to make it a -2 while giving your opponent more resources. But there is a hidden effect to this card that we found while researching it. And I'm going to let Petty tell you why this card didn't make it lower on this list.
All right, so the utility is that you call a card that you absolutely know they're not going to have in their deck. You call Moki Moki, and then if your opponent says that they don't have it in their deck, they are required to show you the contents of their deck. And so at best, it feels like you could use this card in order to gain information early on about what style of deck your opponent is running at the cost of a neg 1. So, should you play another card? Yes, but there is that secret utility. That is a thing you can do.
Yep, and that's about all this card's going to get from us. That's it.
I'm thinking, is there a way to trick your, like, can you exchange this card to your opponent and like force them to use it and call your BLS and you get BLS? No, I don't think so. You could pay them out of the duel. You could cheat, make this card good.
I guess like if your opponent had no cards in hand, you could Dark Designator, give them that BLS or whatever, and then play exchange.
Then exchange. Oh,
But
Kuhb, we found it. Move it up, Kuhb.
yeah,
This isn't
yeah,
bad at all.
yeah, this card's great. It's basically just a demonic tutor from your opponent's deck for you Magic players. Demonic tutor is, or for you who aren't Magic players, demonic tutor is search any card from your deck to your hand in Magic, and this basically just gets it from your opponent's deck. So it's free resources. You've got 2 BLSs now.
It's actually very funny. I wonder if we can make that work somehow. Stay tuned on the Cup Games YouTube channel for Dark Designator Turbo.
If you play enough matches, anything can happen. We'll put it that way. All right, up next at 44, we've got a card called Card Shuffle. This is a continuous spell card that allows you to pay 300 life points to use the card's effect. Shuffle either your or your opponent's deck. You can only use this effect during your turn once per turn. So Madcap made me aware whenever I was talking about this being one of the worst cards that I could think of off the top of my head in Go format, that this has been played before in some sort of a tournament in Library FTK. But Madcap also believes that they were probably just kind of memeing around. This card has some applications. It does have the once per turn on it, so you can't use it as like inspection for your last turn combo or something like that. But you can, I guess, use it in stuff like Library to go with Convulsion of Nature. You could use it with Phoenix Wing Wind Blast or something like that. But baseline, this is a -1 that you have to pay life points for to get its effect, even though its effect is not worth any resource at all.
I think that we're not being mean enough. I think that we're growing a little bit too soft. Now that we're nearing the end of this video, we're being like, well, you can do no. This card is bad. This card is so bad. Well, why did they do what they did? Why is it that you can only shuffle yours or the opponent's deck? Why is it not both or give you the option? Why is it only once per turn? If it weren't once per turn, then you could use it to like burn yourself, which has some application, right? It's like they specifically targeted this card to make it like the worst version of the idea possible.
Yeah. The only thing with like this effect that I can think of that's like worse is there's I can't think of the name. It's a Pokemon card. It's a trainer that literally just says shuffle your deck. So it's like a one of use. At least they I guess, you know, you're telling me I'm being soft, but like at least they made this a continuous card so like you could use it over and over, but like this is, yeah, like you said, this is something that you should just be able to do.
Of course, yeah. I don't know. I think we're back to the infinite cards argument where, yeah, you sure can shuffle your opponent's deck and then use emergency provisions to get some life points back. But once you're at that stage of your life, it's just, things aren't looking good.
Yeah, no, this card is definitely bad, and I think there's a good reason it's in the 50 worst cards of the format. All right, up next at 43 is, well, kind of the same card, but a little worse than Card Shuffle. We have Recycle, which again has a really cool art. So this is another continuous spell card that says, I didn't even see this part. During your standby phase,
yeah,
by paying 300 life points, select one non-monster card in your graveyard and return it to the bottom of the deck. Not the top.
Man.
Don't put it in your hand. Not in the middle. Don't shuffle it into your deck either, so you may be able to draw it on your next turn, because this is in your standby.
Wait, Kuhb, you can't shuffle. That's the use of card shuffle. You need both those cards.
Yeah. Look, we missed the combo. Yeah, we missed the combo. Yeah. I'm sorry. You're supposed to have Recycle and Card Shuffler, so you can pay 600 life points a turn to shuffle a non-monster card from your graveyard into your deck during the standby. I want to emphasize that. During the standby, there's no chance of drawing it this turn, even if you are able to shuffle your deck. Next turn, maybe.
Oh, it's incredible that they made you wait an additional turn with this on field. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, well, why the standby phase? I guess they had it in their head that like standby phase is the time when you pay costs, and so you should pay a cost during the standby phase, but it really did my boy dirty.
Yeah, they certainly did. This card is, I would say Card Shuffle has a lot more utility than this card, even though they're fairly close to the same. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they function similarly, I suppose. It's incredible to me that Recycle is a non-monster card. Like, would it be broken if it could be any card?
yeah, yeah. Especially
Like,
given that
why?
like from the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh, the spells have always been the more powerful cards, and even traps
Sure.
really. So like they're giving you back the powerful ones. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Why not monsters?
Why not monsters? The card's bad.
Yeah, yeah, that would explain it for sure. All right, up at 42 is a card that I didn't know existed until I started researching this list, and I just had to look up its name again just now. We have Seal of the Ancients. So this is a spell card that allows you to pay 1,000 life points, and you can pick up and see all face-down cards on your opponent's side of the field, then return them to their original positions. I love that these cards say pick up, so it's like if your opponent wants to pick them up for you, I think you should call a judge and tell the judge that only you are allowed to pick up these cards because the card specifically
Card
says that.
says. Yeah.
And that's about the entire utility of the card. That's the positive that it brings, a cool niche interaction. But yeah, you are essentially paying 1,000 life points and minus oneing yourself to gain a little bit of information of stuff that's already on the field. That does not seem worth it to me.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty good classic example of a card on this list that like it's just outclassed by other cards that exist in the format. And it's like you're never going to play this, right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to make your opponent uncomfortable by demanding that you get to touch their cards because the card says so.
Yeah.
Which
and
I don't know. That's a psychological factor, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to gain every edge that you can, right? This is
Yeah.
while we're talking about the 50 worst cards, let's go as deep as we can competitively here. Gain every edge possible.
Yeah.
But yeah,
However, you should keep in mind that that doesn't work in Dueling Book, right? Like you can't actually touch their cards.
yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, card's not playable
so
in
it's
Dueling
even
Book.
worse. Yeah, yeah. It's even lower on the list for Dueling Book.
Put it at 1.
Yeah.
I think one thing about this card that puts it lower, because like you might think Recycle, after we just kind of just trashed it for a while, might be worse than this card. But Recycle and Card Shuffle and Infinite Cards being continuous spells, I think gives them a little bit more utility. Whereas this card, it's a one use. You get your effect, you minus 1, you're done. That's it. So I think it does deserve to be a little bit lower than those.
Yeah, and I think that at least a lot of the other cards on the list so far, they have unique effects. Like you're not gonna find another Recycle, I don't think, but you will find another Seal of the Ancients in similarly bad cards. Like the Stern Mystic, I think, is one that has the same effect, and it's just also very bad.
Yeah, definitely outclassed. Definitely bad. Definitely the 42nd worst card in GOAT format.
Definitely.
All right, and last on our list for this week at number 41 is it's called Hidden Spellbook on here, but that is an errata. This is Hidden Book of Spell, I think was the name of it, before they released all of the spellbook support. A trap card that simply reads, during your turn, target 2 spell cards in your graveyard, shuffle those targets into the deck. It's pretty close to the same power level as some of these others on here, but you do have to have two targets, and again, just like Seal of the Ancients, it's just a one-shot effect. You're just minus oneing yourself to shuffle some cards into your deck. You have no idea where they're going. It's just a -1 kind of do-nothing card, right?
Yeah, I think it's made especially bad because it is a trap card, and it for whatever reason won't let you do it on your opponent's turn. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Once again, would it be too broken to let me use my trap card on my opponent's turn? Like, they really wanted to build in a wait time on this guy. That's crazy.
They wanted to make sure the blind MSTers could get their value.
Yeah, it's just I like the only thing I could think of that you would want for this card is if you could use it on your own turn immediately, and then get like 2 important spells back in your deck, and then attempt to like tutor them that exact same turn. But
yeah,
and you can do that, but you have to wait another turn. Like, come on, Konami.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out that like we have Magician of Faith. That just gets a spell back to your hand. Even like spell reproduction which is a -2,
Mhm.
gets the card back to your hand immediately. Of course, that card sees play as like 3 of in library FTK. So yeah, like not only is it just a -1 sort of do nothing card with terrible timing requirements, it's just also outclassed by several different things. So yeah,
Yeah.
not good, and should probably stay hidden, honestly. No one needs to see this.
Oh my god. Bottom 50 worst puns.
We can't have a video on the Cup Games YouTube channel without a pun, you know it.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I knew what I got into.
All right, but yeah, this is going to be 50 through 41. If you all think you know what the cards are coming up, obviously, let us know in the comments and see if you get any of them right. Whenever we get through the whole list, if you all think that anything is wrong, you think we missed something, let us know. But you have anything before we get out of this one, Petty?
I'll just see you next Wednesday.
Yep. See you all next Wednesday.